What's up, man? This is a recording from the MenProvement Podcast. To see all podcasts, go to MenProvement.com, the #1 self-improvement resource strictly for men. And while you're there, get a copy of your free ebook, How to Triple Your Testosterone Naturally. See the links below for more information and enjoy.
Ready to take your life to the next level? Then you're in the right place. Get all the information you need to be better, improve everything, and live life like a pro. This is the MenProvement Podcast with Shawn Russell.
Welcome back to the MenProvement Podcast, the #1 self-improvement podcast strictly for men. And this podcast is all about building you into the ultimate man. I'm your host, Shawn Russell, and I interview the most incredible men alive to bring you step-by-step tutorials to improving your dating life, being more confident, and just being an incredible man. And today we're going to talk about sleep and how to improve your sleep. And it might not sound glamorous, but this is an awesome episode. I have Shawn Stevenson of the ShawnStevensonModel.com. He's an author and one of the most incredibly knowledgeable and well-known nutrition experts alive. He actually used nutrition and sleep to cure his own incurable degenerative spinal condition. And he is an amazing, amazing human being. He knows what seems like to be everything about everything when it comes to nutrition and water and protein, and anything you ask him, he's just got studies and science, and it's absolutely incredible. So today I dive into some deep stuff with him, and first we talk about how he cured an incurable condition using only nutrition, lifestyle, and sleep. And we talk all about his greatest nutrition tips for men that you can start implementing today to improve your life and not have to cure a spinal condition, but prevent all sorts of conditions and feel amazing. And then we go in for about half an hour about how you can engineer the most incredible night's sleep, because it is so important. And we don't talk just about going to bed before 10 o'clock and things like this. That comes up, but we talk about facts and studies and all this interesting stuff with hormones and tricks to get you into the deepest REM sleep possible, so you don't even need as much sleep and you recover and you feel amazing all the time. Sleep is essential to being an optimal performer and being an amazing man. Even if your goal is to get better with women and pick up chicks, mastering your sleep will help you do that. That's what I love about this podcast. Most of the listeners, they love the episodes where we talk about meeting women, and I do too, trust me. But every other episode that's on here will help you when it comes to meeting women, and it's a fact. So improving your sleep, improving your productivity, your confidence, the way you feel, it will all couple and help you be a master with women and whatever else it is you want to do. If you want to make tons of money, if you just want to feel great, or you have a girlfriend and you want to satisfy her better, fixing your sleep will help you do that. It will help you be a better man. Before we jump into the episode, I want to talk again and give an update about the MenProvement Academy that I've been mentioning in the past couple episodes. Now, the Academy will launch March 30th, and I'm incredibly excited about it. We've got tons of guys signed up, and everyone who signs up before the launch via the podcast and goes to menprovement.com/academy is going to get a lifetime membership for $50. So let me tell you what I've got for you so far in the Academy. Along with having 2 modules completed out of 12, everyone who's on the pre-launch list is going to get free access to our 4 programs. The first one is called the JD Dallas System, and it's JD taking us step by step through how he meets women and gets laid. He takes us from the moment he sees the woman, actually the moment that he leaves the house, and then seeing her, talking to her, texting her, dating her, taking her back to your house, step by step in an audio interview series with me, and it's amazing. So that's a $97 value that you're going to get for free. Then we have the same style of thing with social domination with me and Dan Monroe talking for 8 interviews on social domination. Another $97 value you're going to get for free. Then you're going to get a 30-day self-improvement bootcamp that I put together that will take even the laziest of guys who they don't have much direction and turn them into absolute success machines. I instill 12 habits of highly successful people into you, habits that I do every single day and that I know work for 30 days, and you'll get that at no additional cost. And lastly, you'll get my program that I created, How to Quit Porn for Good, which retails for $30 right now. You'll get that at no additional cost as well. So you're getting all of that as along with access to the MenProvement Academy. If you go to menprovement.com/academy today or in the next 2 weeks and sign up to the list, you'll get an email from us. And when the Academy launches, you'll get a promo code to get all of that and lifetime membership for $50. So jump on this. It's going to be epic, and so is today's episode. So without further ado, how to engineer the perfect night's sleep with Shawn Stevenson. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. I'm here today with Shawn Stevenson. What's up, Shawn?
What's up, Shawn? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's awesome to be talking to you. I'm a big fan of what you do. I'm totally into health and optimizing my life, and you are one of the most knowledgeable people that I have seen in this field.
Wow, I received that, man. It's a lot of great people out there doing their thing, but I think what kind of sets me apart is, taking these seemingly complex health issues and making it all approachable, making it fun. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's really about. If you enjoy the process of learning, if you enjoy the process of being healthy, then you're going to stick with it. But if you make this stuff complicated, then, it's going to be like a percent of people who sustain health, So I appreciate that so much, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you definitely found that balance between making it sound simple, but also still being really advanced and scientific, and that's what I really like. And I was checking out your story yesterday, and you've got an amazing story. So why don't you tell everyone, and I didn't even read the whole thing because I was looking forward to hearing it from you, how you got to where you are today.
Okay, sure. So there's actually a part of the story that I don't talk about as often, which is, my kind of venture into being in this field that I'm in now and at this level started for me when I was 16 years old. I was an aspiring athlete, doing great in track and football. And I was doing a time trial in track practice. Okay. And so I was doing a 200-meter sprint time trial, and I broke my hip while I was running. All right. So I'm just running and my hip breaks. It's like so random. I didn't get hit. It wasn't like getting hit on the football field. It just, my hip broke. When I saw the therapist, they said that I pulled a muscle and my hip was so brittle, it broke off along with it. But they didn't use the word brittle, but that's what I added in there. And so long story short there, I went through the traditional mode of healing up, which I was used to working with my trainers for little injuries, ultrasound, putting on some icy hot, taking some anti-inflammatories and just staying off the leg for a while. And I healed. And of course, at 16, you've got the hormones of like a Greek god, in your favor. So I healed up pretty quickly and I got back on the field, got back on the track. But here's the issue, man. Nobody stopped to ask, how did this 16-year-old kid's hip break? How could that even be possible? It's usually reserved, people's hips breaking, typically for senior citizen women, not a young 16-year-old guy, right? All right, fast forward 20, I'm 20 years old at the time. So this is about 4 years later. I'm finally, quote, diagnosed, which is really just an educated guess. It's like a hypothesis, with something called degenerative bone disease, right? And as a matter of fact, degenerative spinal disease is what I was diagnosed with personally.
Wow.
And so for me, this manifested as I started to have a very difficult time walking because the sciatic nerves that were going through my leg started to really fire and act up. And this was because my spine was starting to degenerate. So I go in to see the physician, and I'll never forget this moment, man. He puts the MRI up for me to see, and I'm just like, okay, doc, fix me up. What do we got to do to fix me? Because I'm used to working with my trainers. And he's like, whoa. And he literally is like, pump your brakes, slow down, son. What you have here is a condition called degenerative spinal disease. And this is something that you're just going to have to deal with. There's no cure for this. And you have the spine of an 80-year-old, son. I'm sorry to tell you that. And so my brain couldn't process that at the time. I was not expecting to hear that. So I asked him, and I still don't know to this day, man. I asked him, does this have anything to do with what I'm eating? Should I change the way I'm exercising? I asked him those two questions. I have no clue that nutrition matters, but I think it was like some kind of a time portal or something where I jumped back in my body, you know, the future me, and asked the question. But he looked at me like I was from another planet. And he said, this has nothing to do with what you're eating. And he proceeded to write me a prescription to eat some pills. Anyways, even though he said this has nothing to do with what you're eating, go ahead and eat these drugs. I got fitted for a back brace, lots of bed rest, and just, you know, I was just kind of pushed out the door to have my life just deteriorate from that point on. And I saw some other practitioners, which I always recommend people to do that, to get a second, third opinion. That doesn't mean you're going to get the opinion you're looking for, because they all pretty much had the same story, which is this is something that you're just going to have to deal with. There's nothing you can do. So to bring this story to its obvious happy ending here, it was a moment of decision that took place 2.5 years later. And at this point, I've gained about 40, 50 pounds. And this is not like solid muscle. This is like jiggly, kind of not the good kind of weight I'm trying to put on. And this is because I'm on the college diet. I was still in school at the time. And so I'm eating like Papa John's, like for breakfast, you know, or McDonald's if I get up in time, and, you know, just a lot of fast food and playing a lot of video games, you know, and this was my life. And so I'm sitting there on my bed about to take my medication, and it just kind of hit me that, you know, my grandmother in particular, she would always reaffirm to me how special I was, how much potential I had, all these gifts and talents, and how I was going to do all these amazing things. And I believed that, but I was sitting here at this point where my life didn't match up to my blueprint. And so I was dealing with a lot of pain. So I made the decision right then, which most people never do this. I made the decision to get well. You know, a lot of times it's just like wishful thinking. I'm going to try. I hope that somebody helps me. I hope that this works out. I'm going to give it a shot. When you make a real decision, I'm a big student of lexicon. So the word decision is from the Latin de, meaning from, and caedere, which means to cut. So when you make a real decision about something, you cut away the possibility of anything else happening but that thing. So when I made a decision to get well, there was, come what may, nothing is going to stop me from getting well. And so, and again, this wasn't like, you know, the clouds parted or whatever, but that was, first of all, that mindset. And then I put a plan together, and I decided I'm going to learn everything that I can about the human body. I'm going to learn everything that I can about wellness. Because when I went to school initially pre-med, which I shifted out of that within the first 2 months, because I just found out I didn't like science, funny enough, which is my life today. But I saw very quickly that you're taught pharmacology, you know, and this wasn't from me taking the classes yet. This is from people who are more advanced, and just listening to them. You're taught pharmacology, and there's this big focus on disease, right? So they're looking for disease all the time. And it was fascinating how they would self-diagnose themselves with all these problems all the time. I decided I'm going to study health. Okay. So I'm going to study the opposite. What does it take to be healthy? You know? And so fast forward, and this is the wrap of the story, 6 weeks later from making that decision. And I incorporated 3 things, which we can talk about because it is going to include, we'll come back to it, but 3 specific things. I lost 30 pounds in 6 weeks, which is not typical, you know, but that weight just wasn't supposed to be on my frame. And the pain was completely gone that I had been dealing with every single day for 2.5 years, that I felt like I would never be away from, that I was in fear, that even just standing up or sitting down, every time I would stand up, I was scared because I knew I was going to get hit with this pain. And so this pain was gone like that. And that's when you really know you're well, is when you totally forget that you ever had. I don't know when the pain actually went away, but I was just so busy being well that, you know, I just forgot about the pain. And people saw the transformation because I was still in school, and they started asking me for help. And I shifted my course of study back to science, and that was the birth of my career. And here I am today, man.
That's an amazing and inspiring story, man. And I'm so grateful for you sharing that with us. And I can relate to what you were talking about when you said you made a decision, because 3 years ago, I suffered with chronic fatigue syndrome and a nervous system disorder and an anxiety disorder. And I can remember, not the exact date, but I can remember the situation I was in when I made a decision as well that I was going to get better no matter what. And that's what set me along the journey that got me to where I am. So that's awesome to hear that you went through all that, and it's incredible. It really is. And it's incredible that doctors still to this day, they kind of just throw nutrition out the window. I was listening to a story yesterday of a woman who had MS, and they gave her, a life death sentence, and they gave her some pills and sent her on her way. And she cured herself through diet and through other tools. And she says she almost had to stop being a doctor because there was a McDonald's in her hospital, and she would see patients with the wristbands on eating McDonald's. Yeah. And there's just something so wrong with the system. And this is a topic for a whole nother podcast.
So are you talking about Dr. Terry Walls by chance?
I might be. I don't know her name. I was listening to a podcast last night. I don't know how I stumbled upon it, but it was a woman.
Yeah, that's her story. She was actually like wheelchair bound.
Yeah.
Now she's just strutting around, walking, doing her thing, living her life. But the thing is, even with this misunderstanding that we've had in conventional medicine for so long, the game is changing. And it's changing in big part because of this podcast movement and people being able to have access to information and education, no matter where they are, no matter what time, no matter what they're doing, And I've got so many health practitioners, doctors, chiropractors, different practitioners in the medical field who listen to my show. And I get messages from them all the time. And it's phenomenal because now we're shifting over into more integrative medicine, functional medicine. And there's like this it's like a dinosaur of an industry that's dying right now, like they're becoming extinct. Yeah. And people, of course, they're going to fight and claw because it's a huge money making system, man. I mean, in our country, the medical system is really based on, again, sickness. You pay the doctor when you're sick. Whereas if you look at the Chinese medical system, for example, you don't pay the doctor when you get sick. You pay the doctor when you're well.
Really? I didn't know that.
A vested interest in keeping you well. Here, it's a little bit different and it might not be conscious, but subconsciously, psychologically, there's going to be a drive to have the farming of sick people to keep that money going, So, but I don't want to, it's a different topic for a different day for sure.
I could talk about it for hours and hours. It's kind of a frustrating topic, but like you said, it's definitely changing. It's like the statin industry and cholesterol. It's a means to an end, but let's jump back to the topic. So you went through this degenerative spine disease, and over the course of 6 years, you healed yourself. It's incredible. What were the 3 things that got you there?
Yeah, it wasn't even 6 years. It was just a couple of months.
Really?
Okay. And yeah, absolutely. And when I went back to see my physician, it's probably about 8 or 9 months after kind of that revelation moment. And he took a scan and he put it up. And these are the words that I've heard. And many of my clients and patients over the years have heard the same thing from their first physician before they get to me is he put it up and he said, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Because I haven't seen this before. I don't have any rational explanation, but whatever you're doing is working. And we just kind of left it at that. I fired my doctor, because he wasn't even on the same page with me, and for me, I'm working in the field of possibility. If you're even coming to the table thinking something's not possible, you're already losing, so for me, again, it was just a few months, but it was a couple, maybe about a year or two before I really hit my stride in understanding nutrition. But initially, there are 3 main components that really changed the game for me. Number one, which was the most approachable thing, and any guy can employ this, because just being an athlete was movement. Your body, literally, your genes expect you to move in order to heal itself. Your genes expect you to move for your body system, for all the cells in your body to function properly. They expect that of you. If you're not moving, it's the opposite of life. Life is really movement. What do we know about death? Like everything stops. There's no more cellular activity. So keep being prescribed bed rest. Don't do this, don't do that. Be careful. Life is not about being careful. You've got to take calculated risk. And you've got to move. You got to do what you can. And I was just using it. Honestly, man, this is the first time I've ever even said this publicly, but I was using that as an excuse to not do anything. I was using it as an excuse just to sit my ass down and play Madden, and eat McDonald's, and that's just where I was at. I was comfortable, and comfortable is the killer to happiness and success and health. You got to ease into that discomfort. But I really think that we all kind of have to go through that phase of, so we get a discernment. So I know how crappy life can be. So I know how really good it can be. So anyways, movement was number one. I started off because I really wasn't walking well without a lot of pain, just using a stationary bike for about a week. And I would go every day. Next week, I started walking on the elliptical machine, the little elliptical or treadmill. Week after that, I started jogging a little bit. Week after that, I picked up the weights again that had been missing me, and I've been missing them. And man, that was when the game really changed because, me working with so many people over the years with degenerative spinal disease, degenerative disc disease, one of the biggest fears is like, I can't work on my back. I can't do deadlifts.
Yeah.
The reality is, again, with movement, your body's going to be driving all of that nutrition to those areas in order to regenerate the tissues. So there's a great study. It was a study with horses that I saw early on in this transformation where they would have the horses, because a horse that breaks a bone, they're going to get put down. They're going to get put to sleep. So they wanted to increase their bone density. So they had one group of horses. They were giving them this supplement, some calcium type supplements. And that's the control group. They just gave them the supplements. That was it. The study group, they gave the horses the supplements, but they walked the horses. At the end of the study, what they found is that the horses that were not walked but given supplements, it was negligible, the increase in their bone density. The horses that were walked, there was a radical increase in their bone density because they were actually driving the nutrition into the bones by them walking. So this really goes down to if you don't use it, you lose it. Simple as that. So that's step number one. Step number two, again, we could do a whole show talking about this, but step number two was you are what you eat. And I was making myself out of like bubble gum and like farmer's glue, like just horrible stuff, like the worst stuff ever.
Yeah.
And your body requires the raw materials that it needs to rebuild you. So for me, I asked this very powerful question, so what is my spine actually made of? What is my spine actually made of? What are the discs in my back actually made of? And wouldn't it be a great idea to get those nutrients into my body because they were far and few at that point. So one of the things we could talk about vitamin C, because a lot of people know about vitamin C as a powerful antioxidant for your immune system, all that thing. But vitamin C and sulfur, these two things do something called biological transmutation. They actually help to become tissues, regenerate and become tissue. So vitamin C combined with sulfur and sulfur-bearing amino acids as well. So I'm like, okay, where was I getting that? I wasn't getting that from like the Sunny D I was drinking or the triple cheeseburgers from McDonald's. I was so deficient in these things. As a matter of fact, when you bring stuff like that into your body, there's a lot of anti-nutrients in those foods that pull nutrients out of your body. So once I found out what my spine and what my cartilage and all these things were made of, and there's many other things. I mean, again, we could do 5 shows on this stuff. I just started to get those foods in my body in order to give my body the stuff that it needs to do the job that it already knows how to do, right? So, and one of the big steps, and this is a simple step for anybody, was I stopped eating fast food, right? I stopped eating fast food. And because nutrition, like the whole concept was so foreign to me, all I did, which I'm very lucky, I was actually dating this girl. She was a chiropractor. So random. But she took me to Wild Oats, right? Wild Oats health food store, who's since been bought up by Whole Foods. And this was like Whole Foods was brand new here. This is about 15 years ago, and I'm in the Midwest. So they had just shown up. So I'm shopping there, and there's like nobody in the store. It's like me and 3 random people, right? Like there's like an old guy who looks like he's probably 107 because he's been eating like this forever. Somebody with a tie-dye shirt on, and then like Isaac Bruce from the Rams football team or something I would see up there, right? And so I started to make the same foods that I was used to eating, but just using higher quality ingredients. So instead of eating McDonald's burgers, I was making my own grass-fed, burger, and then adding in more vegetables into the mix instead of like partially hydrogenated fries, you know? So I just upgraded the quality of the food that I was eating. And of course, I was still eating my fries. I was just getting like the oven fries or whatever from organic potato, just upgrading. Mm-hmm. That's step number 2, was upgrade your nutrition. And step number 3, this is the big key, man, is sleep. I naturally, once I shifted over and started moving my body again training and eating good food, I did not make this a conscious decision. I naturally started to go to bed earlier and get up earlier, and this just naturally happened. This wasn't something I noticed until like 2-3 years later. And the reason that this is so important is that sleep is known as the anabolic state for the human body, right? The anabolic state. Just being awake, period, is catabolic, which is the breaking down of your system. And that's good. We need both. So when you're asleep is when your body secretes the most anabolic hormones, in particular human growth hormone, right? Very regenerative, powerful hormones and enzymes in order to regenerate and heal you. Everybody knows this, like recovery is like the key to your training. If you're exercising, you've got to get that rest and recovery in order to come back better. But a lot of people, they know it as a theory, but they don't know it in application. So I was getting my sleep on, man, and I was feeling great when I woke up instead of feeling tired when I woke up, so, and a lot of people are experiencing that right now. And that's why I really focused on that this past year. And my book, Sleep Smarter, has been #1 bestseller on at least one health list for over 7 months, man, because people they're tuned in. They understand that this matters. Sleep isn't a sexy topic, but we can make it sexy. But how do we stack the conditions in your life so that you don't have to worry about, I need to get a certain amount of hours of sleep. You can actually use these strategies to get yourself into the deepest, most anabolic stages of sleep faster and more often. And that's really what it's about, man. So those are the 3 big components to transforming your health or recovering from any type of physical ailment.
Yeah, that's awesome. And before we dive into sleep on the whole, I just want to say the movement part in the beginning that's great because I've never heard that before as well. And like I've got a shoulder injury right now, and it's pretty much I've just been trying to not move it as much as possible. Yeah. But really, I should probably be doing very light exercises.
Yes, of course. Now, again, this is calculated risk. And I don't even like to use the word risk, but calculated movement. So, of course, if it's an acute happening to where it's fresh, I just hurt my shoulder or my back yesterday, sure, you want to take 24, 48 hours, just let it rest, let the inflammation go down. Take some natural anti-inflammatories like curcumin or something like that. Aid your body in this process. But then you need to use it. You absolutely need to use it because it will start to atrophy, right? And your body it very quickly tries to compensate as well, so absolutely. But it's doing smart things, just grabbing maybe like a 1 pound dumbbell and then doing some, like the IYT exercises, you know. There's so many different things that you can employ, but yeah, absolutely got to start moving that bad boy.
Yeah, and your diet. So what does your diet look like on a typical day? Like breakfast, lunch, dinner?
Oh man, you want the rundown. Okay.
Real quick,
I'll use what I had yesterday. Okay, so yesterday, and by the way, I've come to this very unique place because I've experimented a lot. So everybody listening, this is what works for me. And I'm very individual in my approach in working with patients and even my programs. I try to help people to design stuff and cater things to what feels best for them. And so I actually spent some time with a very, very high raw food diet, vegan, what's called paleo today, just eating like a lot of like my wife is from Kenya. So a lot of like, quote, ethnic type foods, I've experimented with a lot of stuff. And so I really feel that I bring the best of all these worlds together. So for me, for breakfast, yesterday I had 2 pasture-raised Italian pork sausages, so they were pretty nice sized sausages. I had a huge, like half of my plate is generally going to be green leafy vegetables. So I had some sauteed greens with some amazing spices in there, like the turmeric, which has anti-angiogenesis properties, so anti-cancer properties, cayenne pepper and things like that. So half of my plate was non-starchy greens. I think it was kale and maybe Swiss chard maybe. And then you got to get your fats in there for your brain and for your sex hormones. So I had half of an avocado slice, and then I topped that with some dulse flakes. Dulse, it's a sea vegetable. It's readily available today. Highest source of potassium of any food that you're going to find. Because a lot of people are like, I just want to eat these bananas. You're probably eating the banana because you're addicted to sugar, right? It's not that much potassium in there. You're going to find more in an avocado and even more in the dulse. And then plus you're going to be getting all these micronutrients that you're not going to find in any conventional food, period. No matter if it's grown organically, because the sea still has that stuff in it, right? So I topped that with dulse. And I think I had a couple bites of sauerkraut, get those healthy probiotics in there. So beneficial bacteria. All right. Yeah. So that was breakfast. Midday, I had, I might have had a couple of Brazil nuts, I believe. Just a handful of Brazil nuts. Most powerful source of selenium that you're going to find. Yeah. This is really, really great for, there's going to be some precursors in there to possibly boosting your testosterone, by the way. So I had that in between lunch, and then lunch, because I had a big day in the studio yesterday. So I stopped at, I think I might have went to Chipotle. No, I had a salad yesterday. Big salad, grilled chicken in there, avocado, olives. I use for my dressing, I've got some olive oil here in my office, and I put a little bit of Dijon mustard in there and just mix that all up. And then for dinner, we had some, I love the crock pot, man. If you guys don't have a crock pot, get a crock pot. It makes everything so easy. Just put the meat in there, veggies, close the lid. Super easy. So we had some, I believe it was, I know it was a roast, but I don't know what side of meat it was. But it was a beef roast, bunch of peppers in there, onions, all that good stuff. And I had I think it might have been a Japanese sweet potato, because I trained yesterday. So post-workout, I got to get my carbs in there. Because as you notice, the rest of my day, I didn't really say anything about any carbohydrates, right? That's a whole nother show topic again. Yeah. And then I had the rest of my greens that I didn't consume for breakfast. So a nice big serving of greens. So that was my day, man.
I got to say, it sounds delicious. I mean, eating healthy doesn't have to be bland, essentially. Like, that sounds like an awesome day of food. So,
and all those meals, man, take like 10 to 20 minutes, to put all that stuff together, man. It's not even that big of a deal. It's just having the strategy in your hand.
Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing that. So we've got about 20 minutes, and the big topic of the day that I want to dive into is how can we as men and just humans essentially improve our sleep and engineer the perfect night's sleep. So let's start at the very top, at the basics. Yeah. What time is the best time to go to bed, and how many hours do we really need?
All right, great question. So I'm going to answer those in reverse order. So How many hours do we really need? You know what, man? Never at one point in my book do I say you need to get blank hours of sleep, because there is no cookie cutter answer. What we really need to be focused on is how much time can we get in non-REM anabolic deep sleep, right? So let's dissect it. So REM sleep, that's rapid eye movement sleep. That's important. This is where you're dreaming, right? And this is where your body is doing a significant amount of something called memory processing, right? This is where your short-term memories get converted to long-term memories, right? So all the awesome stuff you're even learning right now becomes a part of you when you're able to process that during REM sleep, okay? Now, I'm not saying it all happens during REM sleep, but a nice portion of it. It's why it's important. But the physical transformation, the regeneration of your brain, the regeneration of your tissues, anabolic hormone secretion, that's going to happen in non-REM deep sleep. All right. And there's depending on which expert you talk to, there's 4 to 5 stages of sleep. It can really be broken down to 2 major stages. And so for me, it's REM sleep, non-REM sleep. So the non-REM sleep, deep sleep, this is where we get the real gold. So if you can set up strategies and find out what is clinically proven to get your body into that state more frequently, and you're not just wasting time on the mattress, right? You're in bed sleeping, but you're not really getting the effects. So that's what I really focused on. So this could be, and here's a little note for everybody, is that sleep cycle is around 90 minutes, okay, to go through a complete sleep cycle. So if you add that up, what it's going to equal to is either 6 hours of sleep, 7.5 hours of sleep, or 9 hours of sleep. Those are kind of going to be the sweet spot for different people, so that your alarm is not going off in the middle of a sleep cycle. That's when it's even harder to pull yourself out of it. and to kind of get up is when your sleep is interrupted. But I talk more about that in the book. It's a little bit more complex. But so what I generally tell people is probably going to be around 6 to 8 hours, depending on you. Okay, depending on you. Some people might require a little bit more, and that's okay. But you're going to find that you require less sleep and you wake up more refreshed when you follow these particular strategies. Which you want to go ahead and talk about a few of them?
Absolutely, man. Pumped to hear them.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Which one should we start with? Okay. This one's super easy and very, very tangible and easy to apply to our lives. So there was a study done at Appalachian State University. And every opportunity I get, I try to share this study. It was so fascinating. So Appalachian State University, they took exercisers and broke them into 3 different groups. Okay. Group A exercised at 7 a.m. Group B exercised at 1 p.m. And Group C exercised at 7 p.m. At the end of the study, what they discovered was that Group A, who exercised early in the morning, spent up to 75% more time in the deep rejuvenative stages of sleep that I've been talking about. Okay. I mean, I think we really need to play that back again, man, because exercising in the morning can literally help you sleep better at night. Up to 75% more time in deep sleep. Wow. Right? So this does not mean, now here's where things differ from the information coming from me. This does not mean you need to get up and hit the gym at 6 or 7 in the morning. What this does mean is that you need to do some physical activity in the morning. Because right now, I found it's been about maybe 8 months that I've been experimenting training in the afternoon because I'm really working on strength because according to the research, testosterone is a little bit higher in the early afternoon and your strength numbers are going to be higher. And I find that to be the case for sure, because I worked out in the morning for as long as I've been in this game, man. But so I do some activity in the morning. So this could be, depending on what kind of fella you are, you could be doing some yoga. You could be doing some Tabata, just 4 minutes of exercise, kind of high intensity training. I'm really digging right now because I'm in the Midwest is I break out my rebounder. So I hop on the mini trampoline because it's, according to NASA, the most effective human exercise. All right. Really? So I jump on the rebounder for maybe 10 minutes, listen to an audio book or something like that. Or maybe I'm reviewing my show while I'm jumping on that bad boy. It's really great for your midsection. Like you'll feel it. Like as you're jumping, you can feel everything really tight because your body's stabilizing you. What's so fascinating and great about this exercise is that at one point when you're down on that surface, you're getting like, I don't know the numbers right now. I haven't looked at this for a while, but just say 10 times your body weight pressure, pushing down on all the cells of your body, kind of squeezing every cell. And then you go up and you're literally weightless. So it's like you're exercising all your cells, complete tension, totally weightless. Very, very powerful. And it's powerful for your lymphatic system, right? So your lymphatic system, your body's extracellular like waste management system. So it helps to get the goo out of your body, right? So I'll do that. In the morning, you could, maybe this is when you hit the gym. Maybe you go for a power walk in the morning. That's what I really like to do when the weather's fitting. I'll go out and do a 20-minute, get out there and get into nature. That's great, right? And then, so with that said, now we move into the next thing that's proven to help to improve your sleep quality and get you into stages, the deeper stages of sleep, is sunlight, early morning sunlight, okay? So there's some great benefits as far as like testosterone production to getting some midday sun on your body, in particular your larger parts of your body, so your back and your chest. But there's also some research showing that if you get some sunlight on your testicles, it's like so powerful. Really? But, it just depends on what neighborhood you live in, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just throwing that out there. I did a show actually talking about how to boost your testosterone. So anyways, but getting some sunlight, early morning sunlight. So we're talking about, between 6 and 8, we'll just say. And why this is so effective. And by the way, this is going to change depending on your time zone, time of year, all this stuff. But it's because that early morning sunlight, it helps to essentially reset or calibrate your circadian timing. Because every single thing in your life has to do with your hormones. How you're feeling has to do with your hormone function. All right. And guys, we have hormone cycles too, right? We just think about when women have we have it too. We have hormone cycles and we're lined up with nature, so when the sun goes down, even if you call yourself a night owl, you're driving home, it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, sun's going down, depending on what time of year it is, you're yawning, You know what I'm saying? Because your body knows like the sun's going down and it's time for me to seek shelter. Because just 100 years ago, we couldn't be up at night like this because it's not safe, but now we have the ability to literally manufacture a second daytime.
Yeah.
And just think of what is that doing to our genetics? What is that doing to our DNA and our blueprint? It's really powerful, man. So anyways, getting up and getting some early morning sun on your skin helps, clinically proven, to improve your sleep quality at night. So there's another important strategy there. And, like we got 21 in the book. There's so many different strategies and applications for these as well. But those are just a couple of them. Yeah,
it's awesome advice. And so what time is the best time to actually go to sleep scientifically?
Okay. So what the research shows is that, and this is called money time. This is what we call money time sleep. Sleep is sort of like timing an investment. And so with an investment, if you invest a lot of money at the wrong time, you'll get pain. Okay. If you invest a lot of money at the wrong time, you'll get pain. If you invest even a smaller amount of money at the right time, you can get some big benefits. That's how we're looking at this sleep. When can we invest a smaller amount at the right time, get the most benefit? And so according to the research, that money time window is between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Okay. This is when we're getting this, there's this enzymatic shift that happens in the human body that prepares you for regeneration, healing of tissues. And generally that clock is going to be lined up, if we were living naturally, around 9 p.m. And our body's going to shift over this when we're starting to get a little bit tired. But we'll trump that in our modern society, because even though we're tired and we don't feel like doing anything, we'll put on the TV, put on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, an hour later, like, we are wired, we're up. Like, I just want to do something. Let's watch every movie. Like, let's watch a whole season of Justified or whatever it might be, So what happened is, that's called the energy second wind. You've wasted that energy that was going to be used to regenerate you, to rebuild you, to heal you, and you've used it to stay up. Okay, so 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And what some experts say is that you're actually getting like twice the amount of value per hour. So that 4 hours of sleep is going to be equivalent to maybe 8 hours of sleep with regeneration and healing of your body. And so I'm not saying that everybody needs to get to bed at 10 o'clock. You can be in that, get you some of that spectrum, at least get to bed by midnight, at least get to bed by 11, and instead of staying up late, get up early and you can do whatever it is you're trying to stay up late to do. If you've got to finish some work, if you've got to build a website, if you've got to, whatever, work on your book, this is just going to be the optimal time to do it. And of course, there are outliers. There are people who can function and get a lot of stuff done differently, but long term, we're still yet to see. But according to the research, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., that's the money time.
Yeah, it's great information. And you mentioned the TV and lights and things. Do these late night have a severe impact on our ability to sleep, even if we're watching TV at like 9:45, then going to bed at 10? Because I know that blue light, it mimics the sun. Yeah.
Study, Rensselaer Polytechnic, fascinating study, showing that 2 hours of iPad use before bed was enough to dramatically depress the melatonin secretion of the humans in the study. Okay. So human beings, right? We are human. Melatonin is the get good sleep hormone. When you are secreting that hormone, it's setting your body on pace. You're secreting the environment in your body to get high quality sleep. So you need that secretion. This is the difference when people go to sleep and their melatonin's not high. You can fall asleep, but you're not going to get the sleep that your body really needs. This is going to lead for you to wake up tired again, right? Because we need melatonin to be secreted. And melatonin is secreted in darkness, okay? Melatonin and a lot of people now have heard of cortisol, right? So cortisol is known as like the stress hormone. And so these two have an inverse relationship. So when cortisol is up, melatonin is down. This is just how it works. If melatonin's up, cortisol's down. Light exposure is triggering to your brain and your nervous system that's evolved over eons, like since the beginning. When light is present, cortisol is going to be up because that's a daytime hormone. Cortisol is not bad. It's just when it's overproduced. Okay, so cortisol is going to be high. All right, so what we want to do is shift that ratio, make sure that we're getting our body the opportunity to secrete more melatonin. So my recommendation is to get off the electronic devices, give yourself a curfew, maybe at least 90 minutes before you go to bed. But there are hacks. Even maybe it was 2 nights ago, but I was up, it was like 10 o'clock. I got off the computer, which is not typical for me. But what I did, we have Flux. It's an app called Flux that you can get on your Mac products. I don't know about, PC and any other things, but I'm sure that they're making new stuff for those guys in your iPhones and things like that. But it's called f.lux, and it literally will pull out that most troublesome light spectrum from your computer screen so you can still see everything. Or you can use this little hack of wearing these orange tinted shades. You might have seen people out there wearing now. And I've been doing this for a while. So I was ordering there weren't very many cool ones. So I had big construction worker or looked like I came from wood shop or something. Yeah. People would come to my house and I forget because I'm just used to wearing them, and they come in and were you just working on building some furniture or a birdhouse or something? What's going on? Yeah. But now I've got cooler ones. I've got 4 different pairs. So you wear these orange tinted shades to block out that spectrum of light. It's just a little hack that you can use.
Yeah, I've got the shades as well. And the blue blocker ones, they're pretty good looking.
Yeah, so you got the cool ones.
They look like the Rave glasses. But I use Flux as well after listening to something about Dave Asprey was talking about, because I know he's a big sleep guy. So it's fascinating. But yeah, watching TV with these glasses on when someone comes over, I'm like, you got to explain yourself, but then you're going to be sleeping like a baby.
Right.
So my next question is, this is something that gets thrown around a lot, and there's a lot of conflicting advice, is eating before bed. Because I know Tim Ferriss, and I interviewed Phil Jolett the other day, they say they have a couple cookies right before bed with some milk for that casein protein. But then there's other people that say you should eat very high fat before bed. And then there's people who say you shouldn't eat. So I'm not sure about this one. What's the best protocol?
Yeah, I just follow what the research says and experimentation myself. And so part of the reason why you can kind of carb up for some people before bed like that is, you're going to get a little bit of a dopamine hit. Serotonin, a little bit of a serotonin hit, and that can get converted into melatonin at some point down the spectrum. But here's the issue with that is that the blood sugar, we can't negate that. When you get a blood sugar spike, you're naturally going to have a crash and you're going to go hypoglycemic. This can be enough to pull you out of sleep, in particular, pull you out of deep sleep. This is where the whole concept of getting a midnight snack comes from, and you see the pictures or, Homer Simpson in the refrigerator, late at night. It's because of having that blood sugar crash and you're waking up hungry. So yeah, eating before bed, for honestly, when I was, really transforming my own physical health in my body, I was eating late at night every night. It's not the biggest problem. Yeah. The real problem arises if, in fact, you are overweight. Because according to the research, whenever you consume a meal, anybody, any healthy body fat BMI individual, and BMI is kind of not accurate, but anyways, but just a healthy individual, when you have a meal, you're going to get about 5% increase in cortisol. And that's natural because your body has to try to figure out what you just put in your mouth. Is that self or is it something dangerous? Is that something that can become me or is it something dangerous? So it's natural. But remember, cortisol up, melatonin go down. All right. Here's the issue. According to the research, when an individual who's overweight consumes a meal, any meal at any time, they're going to get upwards of maybe a 60% increase in their cortisol. Okay. So if you're overweight, you're going to get a big secretion or increase in your cortisol level. Right. So this can be, and then by the way, those numbers vary from study to study, but could be upwards of, 60 to 70%, which is crazy. Yeah. But I like to be more of a safe spot and just tell people it's going to be about a 50% increase in your cortisol if you're overweight and you consume a meal. And so what's happening is, this is where the whole concept, if you're trying to lose weight, don't eat late at night. Not the fact that you're not going to burn off the calories. That's not how it works. But more so, you're not going to get the sleep that your body needs to really change your body. Right? So you do want to have a little bit of a curfew if your goal is weight loss, for sure, with the food, because you want to give your body time to kind of dissipate, break down that cortisol and get your melatonin levels back up so you can get some good sleep at night.
Yeah, it's a great answer. And I got a few more questions for you before we head out. And the first one is, my problem is that I drink a lot of water throughout the day, and I wake up probably twice throughout the night to go to the bathroom. Should my goal be to sleep straight through the night? Because sometimes I do wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and actually my dog sleeps next to me and she wakes me up at 4:30 in the morning. Sometimes I can't get back to sleep until like 6, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, so here, I got you, man. It's no problem. So what I do is I'm proactively drinking because I don't want to get up and interrupt my sleep, man, personally.
Yeah. No,
so
either.
I drink a lot. First of all, as soon as I wake up, I get super hydrated. I drink about 1 liter of water, and high quality water. And I did a master class on my show talking about the optimal type of water, because there's a lot of confusion out there about this. So I'll drink a liter of high quality water when I wake up. And then even I just drank about 20 ounces since we've been on this call, right? And so I'm proactively hydrating during the day. So at night, before I go to bed, I might have maybe a little swig, maybe like 3 ounces of water, so that I'm not waking up needing to go piss, right? So I can just sleep straight through and I'm not having this full bladder while I'm sleeping. So just shift your time of drinking. Just make sure you're drinking and giving yourself adequate enough time so that you can empty out your bladder before you go to sleep. Really as simple as that, man. But if you want to be getting up, then keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, no, you're right. Do you take any supplements?
Not many. I'm really more I'm a food guy, but there are some that I have found to be incredibly beneficial. I definitely have a protein supplement, which I use hemp protein. And so I use that. And like today I had some desiccated beef liver. So grass-fed desiccated beef liver supplements, because liver is not that sexy of a food to try to eat, so it's a great way to get that in. And I'll use a pre-workout a lot of times, not all the time, which I use the Shroom Tech. It's my pre-workout. So it's based on cordyceps mushrooms, 5,000 years of documented history, clinically proven today, increase oxygenation of your blood, improve insulin sensitivity, all that good stuff. And I use a green supplement, so like a green superfood supplement. But I'm always adding in, like, just getting in what people might consider supplements, but I use them as food. So like I've got spirulina right here that I actually keep on my desk. So if I'm having a salad, I'll throw a teaspoon of spirulina in there, or if I'm having some guacamole from Chipotle day, Yeah. But that's the highest source of protein of any food, by weight, 71% protein by weight, right? And then, of course, we're talking about all the micronutrients, not the macros, the micros in there, the beta carotene, phycocyanin, which is like, what is that? It's proven to stimulate the production of stem cells. That's so fascinating. Stem cells become any cells you need. So if you need to rebuild or heal something, that might be something you want to think about eating, So yeah, man.
No, I appreciate that. So there's nothing specific before bed, which is good, because I know a lot of people are wondering, should they take melatonin and all these things.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. What about people, I know a lot of people who resonate with this, who have the racing mind syndrome before bed? Because me personally, I'll go to bed at 10, and that's when all these ideas start shooting into my head. I start thinking about my site and things that I want to do, and I meditate, so I know that helps me. But do you have any tricks for quieting the mind?
Sure, yeah. And we're coming to a close here, so I'll share this, which is, with the mind, it's really not about, it's actually, I feel it's a gift to be able to have a busy mind, especially in our world today. We've got so much coming at us, being able to process that. But we need to be able to, it's not about quieting your mind, it's about focus. Okay, it's really about focus. And that's what meditation, if you're onto the right type of meditation for this purpose, is really about being able to focus your mind. So instead of having your mind being in so many random places, it's being able to focus right then in that moment on sleep. I'm focused, I'm going to sleep. So it's not like quieting your mind, it's just focusing on sleep. It's focusing on all things conducive to sleep. And that's what a meditation practice can help you to do, is just, but now for you, I'm just giving like a mental trigger, like shift your focus, just focus on sleep. You got to give your brain something to point it to, or it's going to be pointed in 50 directions. So that's what it's really about. And I put in the book some different meditations or different guided meditations people can look into. I'm a big fan of that for certain. But, and also you've got to find a practice for yourself or what's most effective. So that might be journaling before you go to bed, just writing out everything you're going to do tomorrow so that you can just kind of put that to the side. But also just trusting that you're going to know what to do tomorrow, that the muse isn't going to leave you. So every night before I go to bed, I do this nice little stretch and I, reach up, just kind of take in, give thanks for the day. As I'm dropping my arms, I'm letting it all go. I'm done. This day is a wrap. I'm not thinking about any other stuff. This a wrap. This day is gone. Tomorrow, I'm going to be born again. Whole new day to crush it.
No, I love it. That's awesome advice. And I appreciate you coming on here and talking with us. I could talk to you for hours on hours because I know you've got so much information. And if you guys want to learn more about Shawn and, just get more education from him, where can they find you?
Oh, for sure, man. So definitely we've talked about my show a couple of times. You can hook up with me on iTunes. It's called The Model Health Show. The Model Health Show. And we've just blown past 1 million downloads. We're working on 1.5 million right now. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Congrats, man.
And so thank you, man. And it's just, I put my heart and soul into this and we're teaching master classes on all this stuff. So we're talking about sleep. It's a master class on this stuff, but we make it fun. We make it engaging. And reversing diabetes, fat loss, depression, whatever the topic might be. So you can check me out on iTunes, Stitcher, any source that you're listening to your podcast on, or you can just listen on my site, and that's my home online. It's the ShawnStevensonModel.com. Or you can just Google me, Shawn Stevenson, SHAWN, and Stevenson, STEVENSON. And you can look me up there. We've got a ton of great articles. I just did an article recently about big mistakes with protein supplements that people are buying. We've got a great post about magnesium and getting magnesium levels up and the benefits of that. So you're going to find some extra stuff that you don't find on the podcast, even on my website, which is awesome. So, and people can connect with me. I'm late to the game in social media, but I'm at Shawn Model on Twitter, at Shawn Model on Instagram. Just got on there. I love it. Can't believe it took me so long. And on Facebook, it's /the Shawn Model. And yeah, man, thank you so much for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Shawn, and thank you guys for listening. This has been an amazing episode, and Shawn had to leave, but I actually want to give you one last tip before you go because I know how amazing it is, and from reading Shawn's book, which everyone who's listening to this should read because there's 21 tips in that book, and we only talked about 7 or 8. So from reading Shawn's book, one of my favorite things was to turn your bedroom into a sleep sanctuary. It's one of the biggest tips for getting an epic night's sleep. What I mean is, when you walk into your room, what does it look like right now? Is it messy? Is there a TV on? Is there harsh lighting? Is there cables and computers everywhere? Because this is not a sanctuary for sleep. The thing that Shawn explains in his book is that your brain, it naturally wants to create neural connections. So essentially your brain wants to automate things like driving, like when you're driving and you don't even realize that you're driving. So then your brain has more energy to do other things with. So it does the same with sleep. And if you go into your room and you're working in your room every single day or doing all this stuff and watching TV, your brain has a weakened neural connection to your bedroom and sleep. But if you create a sleep sanctuary where it's a place where you go just for sleep, it's your sacred bedroom, then your brain is going to create a neural connection that when you walk in your room at night and you put all your stuff away in the closet or another room and you close the door, it's time for sleep. And this is how you sleep instantaneously. And this is how your sleep is insanely deep. You get the deepest sleep, the most hormones, the most anabolicness, if that's even a word, and just the most restful, amazing sleep. And it's such a great tip. And most guys, pretty much 99% of guys, don't do this. And I was guilty myself. So I'm actually actively turning my room into a sleep sanctuary. What are some tips that I have for doing this based on what I read? Well, for starters, you want to walk into a clean room at night. You want to walk into a nice, clean room, not cluttered, very relaxed, open. And it doesn't have to be big, but just not cluttered. Don't keep everything in your bedroom. Keep it nice and tidy. Next, don't have your laptop open or harsh lighting or wires going everywhere. Electronics, honestly, are best out of the bedroom. You shouldn't even have a TV because, as Shawn talks about in his book, not having a TV increases your sex, the amount of sex that you have when you're married or in a relationship, or even when you bring girls over, exponentially, because having a TV is just a distraction. But when there's no TV there, the bedroom is simply for sleeping and for sex. And I like that. Have a living room for TV. You don't really need a TV in your bedroom. But if you want one, that's cool. It's not going to destroy your sleep. But this is just to have optimal sleep. And next, you can have things like better lighting, like dim lighting, and you can even have ambient music and incense, and you can have cool things like a fountain on the wall trickling with water. People find that this zen-like environment in their room just creates an instant calmness and helps them sleep so much. So, just get creative, but definitely have a clean room and don't have your computer open and the TV blaring all the time when you're trying to sleep, and make your bedroom for sleep. So that's my last tip. I wanted to throw it in there because it's something that really stuck with me from reading Shawn's book. And I want you guys to have all the benefits that you can have. So that's enough for today's show. Remember, go to MenProvement.com/academy if you want to get into the academy and get all the 4 free programs that we're giving out, and just have like the most life-changing course at your fingertips for the rest of your life. Just head there, sign up. You don't have to commit. You'll get a promo code, but if you decide to not do it when it comes out, that's fine. You don't have to do it. But if you don't sign up, you won't get the promo code. And if you want to sign up later, it's going to be a lot more money. So thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for your reviews on iTunes. Thanks for emailing me with ideas. Continue to email me with show ideas, because that's how I got the idea for today's show. And continue to be awesome, because you guys are. And I'm going to keep bringing you the best shows that I can.